try this one. Thanks for having me here. My name is Gruff. I'm here to talk about a strange corner of Welsh and American history. Specifically, the story of a real person, John Evans. I have a PowerPoint presentation that's 11 or 12 years old. Before the tour, I spent 2 hours with an Apple employee trying to retrieve the PowerPoint from a 12-year-old iPad. Successfully in the end. It's now a keynote program. And I suppose I'm going to, before I begin, this isn't the beginning. Before I begin, I'm going to play you an introductory film that outlines the mythology that drew John Evans to North America. Again, this is John. And the film, in the film, the historian Gwyn Williams grapples with the racist assumptions of European settlers and mythology and to do with the mythical figure of Prince Macduff. And that's what drew John Evans to North America. So this is a film to give you some context to the story of 12 years, 10 years ago, it was quite hard to explain as well. Obviously, as you can hear, it's quite a hard thing to explain in a nutshell. But it's slightly easier. I've aged in the meantime. The world has changed. Language has changed. I can now use terms that didn't exist, such as fake news, which is really helpful in explaining the mythology of Macduff, for example. I guess the story I'm trying to tell, American Interior, is about the victims of fake news and who are the victims of fake news and what are the consequences of perpetuating fake news and things in that vein. Maybe it's helpful. Anyway, I'll be right back and I'll play a little film and then we can take it from there. Thank you very much. Maybe I need to press something, hold on.
and legends. Some the products of a vivid imagination, others, perhaps, based on fact. One of the earliest and most persistent stories has been that of a mysterious nation of white-skinned, Welsh-speaking Indians, descendants of the first white man to cross the Atlantic and discover America. The Gulf of Mexico, gateway to a continent, is gateway to a land of myths. Unraveling the facts, if any there be, behind the legend of Maddock and the Welsh Indians, has been something of an obsession with Gwyn Williams, Professor of History at the University College, Cardiff.
This is a magic land, this Gulf of Mexico, a fable show. From the earliest days of European settlement, marvels came out of it. In 1519, tourist Mobile Bay came a Spaniard to build a city out of nothing. And in that same year, back in Spain, a famous cartographer drew a map of this area and wrote on it the words, Tierra de los Gales, the land of the Welsh. For this is the most marvelous marvel of them all. Because in this very place, or so some say, in the year of our Lord 1170, a Welsh prince, Madog ap Owain Gwynedd, planted his Welsh foot in this new world.
But the origin of the legend is in the old. Gwynedd, heartland of the Welsh, has always looked seaward. Its princes sailed with the Vikings. In the 12th century, these princes clawed their way up out of the wreck of the Norman conquest to independence. Defended by the great ring bastions of mountains, Griffith ap Cynan, a Welsh Viking, built a new dynasty out of the ruins of the old. His son Owain expanded his father's domains until Gwynedd covered the greater part of the north. He towered over the little Balkan-like cockpit of medieval Wales. Owain Gwynedd, in the words of the Chronicle, was a man who was of great goodness and possessing great nobility and prudence, the strength of all Wales. But the Welsh seem always to have shunned the course to unity and strength. Gwyned's charismatic rise could not be maintained. In 1170, Owain Gwynedd died. With his death, his kingdom decayed. His heirs hurled Gwynedd into a bitter period of feuding and civil war. But not so one of his sons, Madog. Born, so legend has it, in this castle of Dolygellan, he was a man of peace. While his brothers tore apart the kingdom, he, sickened by the slaughter, looked for escape and a new land. Of this Madog, there is not a trace in the authentic chroniclers and poets of medieval Wales. Not a trace. But in the 13th century, a Dutch poet, Willem, writes of a Madog who sailed far to the west to discover magic islands and a sea of weed. An Icelandic saga sings of freemen of Wales who sailed to the islands of the south. 1559, Tudor geographer Humphrey Llwyd writes,
And Madog left the land in contention betwixt his brethren, and sailing west, leaving the coast of Ireland so far north, he came to a land unknown. This land of Madog must needs be that country of which the Spaniards affirm themselves to be the first finders. Of this voyage of Madog there be many fables, but sure it is that there he was.
To this day, many still believe. contemporary claims lies a wealth of historical support for the Madoc legend. Alexander von Humboldt thought it worth serious consideration. So did the American Antiquarian Society, the Smithsonian Institute, and Davy Crockett.
Madoc is virtually a god to me. It's the same as finding a god in your own backyard.
By the 20th century, 15 Indian languages had been identified as Welsh. A minister of the 17th century, it is claimed, preached to the natives in Welsh. And so respectable museums and institutions still hang on to the Madoc story and proudly display the plaques of Madoc, proud medieval Welsh prince. Belief in the Welsh connection is fueled by a series of prehistoric forts. Built, some say, not by the native Indians, but by the Welsh.
According to the theory, he came over here in 1170 and came up the various rivers, the Alabama River, its tributaries, and so on. And it seems to me that it makes considerable sense to say that he built the fort.
Well, there are many legends, you know, in this continent of the early white explorers who settled here and intermarried with the natives. And this one is quite long-standing, but I think probably it was revived actively about 20 years ago when Miss Stella Armstrong wrote a book on the subject.
In 1953, the Daughters of the American Revolution, no less, raised a plaque to Madoc on Mobile Bay, citing the forts and Roman coins allegedly found in them.
The evidence here is a pretty bizarre mix. A 20th century encyclopedia that simply tells the story. Webster simply says there was a legend. Hakluyt, now that's the first serious evidence. Hakluyt wasn't Welsh, he was from Herefordshire, but his great work, Principle of Navigation to the English People, was the very voice of the first British imperialism under Queen Elizabeth. And it was Hakluyt's book which gave the Madoc stories to the world. So that's a solid piece of evidence. The forts in Tennessee, these also existed. Roman coins in them, well, I hadn't realized Roman legions marched this far, or that Roman traders got this far. If there were Roman coins in forts in Tennessee, then every history book ever written will have to be rewritten. But the forts certainly existed. They stretched from here in Mobile up through to the Ohio and even beyond to the Missouri. Now those forts have been linked with tribes of white Indians. And in the 18th century, those white Indians were identified as Welsh Indians. Their forts are said to look like Welsh forts. Well, a fort is a fort is a fort. But Welsh Indians were linked with these forts, running from Mobile Bay all the way up to the Missouri. And it's thought that the Madocian Indians, if they existed, came through Mobile, moved right up through the heart of America, up the Mississippi, up the Missouri, where they enjoyed their golden age as the Mandan Indians. And that is what we have to do. We have to follow the trail of Madoc out of Hakluyt, over the Atlantic, through Mobile Point, up to the Missouri, and find out what truth there is in the story. We may find there's little truth in it. We may find there's no truth in it. But that won't be enough, because what people believe to have been true, particularly if they acted on it, is as significant for history as what actually was true. Myth itself can become an operative historical reality.
Thank you, Richard. I've just pinpointed that last quote because it's what this is all about, really. Now I'm going to sing an introductory jingle for the American Interior Project. Embracing there's an atmosphere American interior when loneliness is so austere. American interior, if only you could join me here. American interior, your dreams will carry me, your dreams will carry me to a new world. American interior, your dreams will carry me. Your dreams will carry me to a new world. The struggle with mortality, to freeze in the exterior, searching for a fallacy. American interior, friendship on a solitary. American interior, searching for a fallacy. Your chills will carry me, your chills will carry me to a new world. American interior, your dreams will carry me, your dreams will carry me to a new world. I knew it from the start that we nearly goodbye to a new world. American interior, your dreams will carry me, your dreams will carry me to a new world. American interior. Thank you very much. So this is the mythical Prince Mad Dog, the myth in question, and it's easy to see why people are compelled to want to believe in this person. That's Wales, up, you can see next to, between Ireland and England, that grey blob. It was believed that Mad Dog left the grey blob of Wales in 1170 and sailed into the Gulf of Mexico. This is obviously a 10-year-old map I'm using that turns from a decade ago. It was believed that he popped into the Mississippi there, went up the middle of America, up to Missouri, and that his descendants stayed there. And there were some cultural coincidences between the Noeta people, for example, who used circular leather boats, just like the Welsh coracle. People like this person, Iolo wanted to believe in Mad Dog and was excited by the story. Obviously, 600 years later, he pointed to as much sort of tenuous evidence as he could find to perpetuate this myth. He was an interesting person. He was an anti-slavery activist. He ran like a fair trade store in the 18th century. He was in and out of jail. He was a literary prankster, opium addict, and he was very charismatic, and he had fantastic hair. and he went on a tour of Wales to try and drum up support for an expedition to go and find the descendants of Mad Dog. The Welsh language, for example, was being oppressed and couldn't be used in administrative public life, and he saw a way out of this by befriending the descendants of Mad Dog wherever they lived, on the Great Plains somewhere, and then everybody could move in with them. Everyone could leave Wales and join the descendants of Mad Dog. This next song is about Iolo. Iolo McDonald. So, Iolo went on a tour of Wales, drumming up support for an expedition to go and find the descendants of the mythical Prince Mad Dog. And unfortunately, he only got one response, and it was from this person, John Evans, who's a 20-year-old farmhand and weaver from the mountains of North Wales, and he was drawn to the charisma of Iolo and his great speech, and John Evans was born in this house in the top bedroom. The window you can see above the current owner's head there. And he lived there till he was 7 years old when his mother died, after which they moved to a small house, his father and his brother and John. And he worked hard jobs, but he was interested in poetry, and he tried to follow what was going on in the literary world. But he was certainly traumatised by his childhood and the industrial work he had to endure. And unfortunately for him, after signing up for Iolo's expedition, things got worse, because now he had to move to London. There he goes. Iolo persuaded him to move to London, where the richest echelons of Welsh society were working and living, and in exile. And the idea was that he'd raise money by befriending these people for his expedition. Iolo, now at this point the instigator of this adventure, pulls out of the venture, leaving 21-year-old John Evans, the sole member of the expedition, to travel to America in the 1790s to find the descendants of a mythical prince. So this is a tenuous way of getting this song into the set. It's a song called Bad Friend. Though I can't promise you every hour of every day, I need to feed the kids and take them to the park to play. They say it's impossible to be everything for everyone. All I can say is that I'll have your back for your panic attacks, and though I'm a bad friend, yes, I've been a really bad slack friend. Just know I'm well-meaning, and I will be there at the end. Oh yes, I'm a bad friend, but maybe bad friends are still friends, and better than an enemy. And I will be there at the end. And though it's a struggle when you can't take everyone away on a caravan holiday to the western edge of Wales, just know it was raining, and the beer was warm, and the chips were wet, and you were missed a lot. And we took selfies in your name, and though I'm a bad friend, yes, I've been a really bad slack friend. Just know I'm well-meaning, and I will be there at the end. Oh yes, I'm a bad friend, but maybe bad friends are still friends, and better than an enemy. And I will be there at the end. You know I'm as reliable as asking a seal to deliver the post, or a random Pokemon to remember the number of your phone. And though I'm a bad friend, yes, I've been a really bad slack friend. Just know I'm well-meaning, and I'm still here at the end. Thank you very much. So after a year or so collecting money in London, he raises enough money for the cheapest crossing to the US, to the city of Baltimore. And this is an excuse to play a song called Shack Ridden Waters. Woo! Thank you.
Footsteps coming from the end of the lane, the crystal clear shimmering high. The colors from the girls with a bright fizzy pop. The woman with the name of Bible. I didn't know you, but you felt like a friend. And now I love to be a bird in the air, and I don't know what's wrong with me, but lately I've been feeling like I'm truly hovering in the air. And I don't know what happens to me when you come along. It's just the way the sunlight catches your hair. My friends are go for casual fun. Got left as occasionally never. We like to take some colorful offending dreams. Perpetual loneliness it seems. I didn't know you, but you felt like a friend. And now I love to be a pal till the end. I don't know what happens to me when you come along. It's just the way the sunlight catches your hair. I don't know what happens, is it me or is it voodoo? Or the way the sunlight catches your hair.
Thank you very much. He arrived in Baltimore in 1792, and then he walked to none other place than Philadelphia. And he had a letter of introduction to the minister looking after this chapel. Is it Pennybeck in Lower Dublin, in Philadelphia? And I think they rebuilt the kind of church of a facade, at least in the mid-19th century, but he would have gone to the same location and to meet this person, Dr. Samuel Jones, who was a leader of the Welsh community in Philadelphia at the time. And John Evans asked him for advice regarding going west to find the last descendants of the mythical Prince Macduff. And Samuel Jones suggested that he turn back to Baltimore. And he thought, you know, he was off his head. Anyway, he found a job in a cartographer's office, and they taught him how to make town plans and maps, and he saved $1.75, and then returned to Philadelphia again to seek the advice of Dr. Samuel Jones, who again advised him, along with other members of the Welsh community, not to proceed, that it was far too dangerous. There were various wars going on west of Pennsylvania, and yeah, they thought it was a crackpot idea. To which John Evans retorted, "God is my shield," and carried on and walked to Pittsburgh. He thought he could harness the power of the Ohio River to aid his journey west. I'm going to use this tenuous opportunity to sing the song Pan. He may have been feeling a pang of regret. Who knows? Or a pang of excitement. Pang o hirydd, pang o fyrdd, pang o eogrwydd, pang o gwyli, pam dyfaru, pam y llibio, cam ddefnyddio, grym y peidio, pang o eogrwydd, pang o eogrwydd, pang o enogrwydd, pang o enogrwydd, pang y difa, pang y flafa, pang y grydar, pang y fyrder, pam cynllunio, gam y graffu, gam straffadu, pam dylunio, gam ddehongli, a chresoli, pam bodoli, pam o eogrwydd, pam o enogrwydd, pam o eogrwydd, pam o enogrwydd, pam o'n sigwyr llwyr, So he continued his journey down the Ohio River there on the right to the Mississippi, and I have some visual aids tonight. The colonial powers were fighting for control of Turtle Island that didn't need anybody's control, obviously, and boo to the colonial flags. So, boo, this, boo. And then he crossed over the Mississippi to the land claimed by Spain, and at this point, John Evans, who was incidentally born Yeyan Abivan, his name would have been changed by the registrars of the Church of England into an English name, and then by crossing the Mississippi, he defected to the Spanish and became Don Juan Evans. So he's like a David Bowie style character who's going through different personas, and now he's ready for his journey up the Mississippi through the wilderness. This song deals slightly on the nose, you could argue, with this part of his journey. Sagebrush and scarlet chimney, memories from my everyday, brandy and river catches. Come to soothe the he now contracts malaria, and he's left, he almost dies in the village of New Madrid, by the side of the Mississippi. But he decides to venture on, he recuperates somewhat, but still in a delirium, he decides to walk up the Mississippi River, encountering things he's never seen before in North Wales. He wrote about this part of the journey in a letter a few years later to Samuel Jones in Philadelphia, outlining this journey, and I've used this letter to compose this song. The verses are written by John Evans, and I've added some cheap choruses. The parent son has baked my brains just like a cake in the infinite wilderness of America. The so-called road, so overgrown, it disappears. Now I'm lost in the infinite wilderness of America. Then I was taken for a spy, but in stocks and left to cry, as other people pass me by. So pack your case of piety, and we'll retrace the steps that set you free. Falling in is where we'll be. And furthermore, I should have died in poverty in the infinite wilderness of America. Oh, intolerable thirst and hunger is a mere amusement in comparison to this. Now I'm lost in the infinite wilderness of America. It was quite a struggle to fit these words into the song. Take a powdered golden floor, we'll reduce the distant tones, but the darkest hour goes. So pack your case of piety, for liberty, and we'll retrace the steps that set you free. For liberty is where we'll be. successfully lives through this particularly arduous part of the journey, and he arrives eventually in St. Louis. But unfortunately for him, he's immediately arrested. I did have a police siren sound, but I can't find the machine, but I'll work on it. So he's arrested. He's put in jail. He's in a jail in the French-speaking town of St. Louis. They register him as Jean Evans, Jean, and on the weekends they take him out of the dungeon and put him in stocks in the town square so people could throw things at him. And it's looking pretty bleak at this point for John Evans. But from out of nowhere comes this Scottish man, James Mackay, working for the Spanish as a general, and he's heading the largest river expedition ever mounted by the Spanish in North America, and they were trying to head up the Missouri River, and they were hoping to find some kind of northwest passage to the Pacific. And he hears that there's a Welsh speaker in the dungeon, and people's beliefs at the time were confused, and as you saw in the introductory film, on hearing that there was a Welsh speaker in the dungeon, James Mackay saw an opportunity to find that he had an interpreter for this river expedition north, and should they run into the descendants of Murdocus, of Prince Murdoch, that they would have someone who could communicate with them. So he takes John Evans out of jail, and after some conversations, he makes him the second in command on the largest Spanish expedition ever mounted on the rivers of North America. So this song, they became great friends, and so this song is about their friendship. Again, it's a pretty tenuous link. I should say that touch. The tuning was slightly bleak on the last song, we felt.
Wandering hearts ticking together, but always apart. Open the door and the future restarts. Right there, the plane, you and mine. Just if we were to the dry. Caution and regret, a cowardly dog barking empty threats, backtracking, dancing as patterns are set. But right there, the plane, you and mine. Just if we were to the grind. Pick the process with the 27 days delivery fee.
Send me round the globe and back again to you, a flower. Wheels come off and hobble over to the next replacement, such as but you were the sentence that gave me a voice. Now I cry as we bye goodbye. And I will always wonder how it would be if we never had met. Life would be easier but dull as a start. You'd ask me to keep it discreet, so I'll sing a song of deceit. I might never claim you mine, just a few words we would rhyme. If we were words we would rhyme. If we were words we would rhyme. So, up the Missouri, they go as far as the Omaha Nation, where Chief Blackbird wisely blockades the river, and he doesn't want this expedition going any further, and he wants to curb the colonial influence, but he's a very hospitable person, and the winter is closing in. I think it was the winter of it's now 1795, and the winter is closing into 1796. So he invites them to stay at the Omaha villages. They're at the height of their civilization before the decimation of colonial hands and disease. So it's been an incredible time to witness this. And Chief Blackbird invites John Evans on a 3-week buffalo hunt. There he is. That isn't actually the Missouri River, that's the River Taff in Cardiff in Wales. But it serves a purpose. But if you could imagine, it's the Missouri River. So, Chief Blackbird persuades James Mackay, the general, to turn back to St. Louis. So Mackay leaves with most of his soldiers, but Chief Blackbird crucially allows John Evans to take a small reconnaissance group north, and Mackay advises him to make maps of his journey, and he asks him to keep a lookout for a series of volcanoes that were believed to be in the Missouri region. Obviously, they had no idea. And he was also instructed on the papers exist with these instructions. He's instructed to capture an unicorn. The things they believed were very interesting, and there was belief that there were unicorns in the Rocky Mountains, and he was to capture one alive and return it to St. Louis. There he is, John Evans. At that point, he was one of the most isolated Europeans in North America. So he's like 3 years into his journey at this point. And the Lakota, one of the Lakota nations, wisely try and get him out of the area, and he returns to the Omaha settlements before starting his journey again. Oh, there's a handy map. I'm not sure why these blue lines are there. I'll work on that. But you can see in this period he made his way from the Omaha up to the Sanish, and the Sanish people looked after him for a few months, and he met representatives from thousands of miles across the plains. People would go there to trade. He was welcomed as a chief. He was. It would have been an incredible time. But his wish was to go north. They kept him there. They were reluctant to let him go north, but possibly he had just a certain charisma, and we can only speculate. And they let him go north, and his wish was to find the descendants of the mythical Prince Mad Dog, and unfortunately he was doing it now as a representative of a colonial power. So it's a problematic story. It's not necessarily a good thing, but it is something that is true, and that happened. So this song deals with his longing to find the descendants of Mad Dog, and it's a real thrill for this tour, getting to play with Chris Forsyth every night, and hopefully as the tour progresses we'll get to play more and more songs together. We had to go on this song in soundcheck. I don't know if Chris is around. Maybe we could play. We could figure something out for this song. For you. Thank you. It's now 1796, and John Evans finally reaches the Mandan nation, or so-called by the French, the Mandan nation, the Noeta people, and these are the people who had some cultural coincidences with the Welsh, getting boats and roundhouses and things like that. They fed John Evans, kept him alive, and also they were also at the height of the civilization. It would have been a wondrous time to witness their culture before decimation again, in the cruelest ways. And so he was an extremely fortunate person to witness this and live amongst the Noeta over what was a polar vortex. I don't think the term existed at that point, but it was an extremely cold winter. And he would have lived in a house like this, and there he goes. General Mackay, the Spanish general, also instructed John Evans to look out for British forts. The British were encroaching from Canada, and he was instructed to, upon seeing any Union Jacks, take the Union Jacks down and to raise the Spanish flag and which he did in this fort up by the 49th parallel near the Mandan villages, and you know, we can only, you'll be surprised to learn that this is just an artist's impression of John Evans. Because of his social standing, he was just a weaver and farm labourer. There would be no paintings of him or drawings. And so I had to ask my artist friend, Pete Fowler here, to imagine John Evans. I gave him lots of photographs of people from the village he's from. And the first known image of John Evans is that one on the right. It's like the Turin shroud for John Evans. And then a friend, Louise, rebuilt John Evans for the purpose of this presentation. And I'm extremely happy to announce that he's with us tonight. Yes. We can also throw some bull and hiss as well. It's not a clear story. In any case, let's go back to the fort in question. John Evans takes over the fort, and this is an opportunity for some mild historical reenactment. If anyone is willing to play a Canadian assassin, because now the British Canadians sent someone to assassinate John Evans because they get wind that he's taken over the fort, and I only need one volunteer. If there was a great, yeah, please, sir. Can I hand you an imaginary gun, please? And if you could enter the fort, we are now inside this fort conceptually. And if you could really quietly come behind John Evans and point the imaginary gun to the back of his head, that would be great, thank you. And what happened now, unbeknown to the Canadian assassin, they lurked an interpreter who surprised the assassin by coming behind him. It was a bit like Reservoir Dogs or something. And then where are we? The interpreter asks the Canadian assassin to hand his imaginary gun to John Evans. Maybe, there's this, woo, and then John Evans spin around. But he felt a power imbalance because now he had the gun. So, in an act of fairness, he offered the Canadian assassin a deal to the death, at which point the Canadian assassin declined the deal and left for Canada. And so if you've come to this show accidentally for a meal or something, and, even if you remember nothing of the show, or think nothing of the show, maybe this piece of information will be handy in real life, that if someone challenges you to appeal, it's perfectly fine to decline. So Evans is now on the 49th parallel. He's responsible for the longest border in the Spanish Empire, and he takes effectively the 49th parallel on behalf of Spain. And you could argue that this incident defeating the Canadian assassin has huge consequences, arguably in even resonating today. You could argue that maybe North and South Dakota and Montana, for example, would be parts of Canada. Al Gore would have won the 2000 election. Who knows? No Iraq War. Who knows, John? We can project almost anything onto this story. Gwyn Williams, the historian in the introductory film, points out that John Evans was effectively the last conquistador of Spain in the Americas. And which again is true, not necessarily a good thing, but and this song is called The Last Conquistador. I am the last conquistador. Oh, it sounds so. I should tune it at least for you. For your benefits. For your ears' benefits. And are you actually from Canada?
Yeah.
Is what that's incredible. Yeah. Thanks so much for. I think that's why it was so practical. I think. Yeah. I am the last conquistador. I am the meaning, intentions are ruinous. I am the first to document. My root is new, and my spirit enlightened. I got hold of the letters, but maybe it would be better if they go. Blueberries and dreams,
Still I'm the last conquistador. I keep on going, though the going ain't easy. And now my mind's in far ago, all jumbled up with a promise of empire. I'm still searching for being alive, and one day I will hold you in my arms. Blueberries and dreams, this and this seems my route was clear. When the clock fell upon me, blueberries and dreams, this seems a combination of disease and confusion. My whole life's work was just an illusion.
Okay, that's quite a lot of stuff to take in. I thought we could have a small interval, and then I'll come back and I'll, have a cigarette or stretch your legs or have a drink or something, and then I'll come back for the final instalment of the tale of John Evans. See you.